Good morning, all. So, all I hope all are doing great. So, yesterday we were seeing about. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, yesterday we were doing about views, and we had also seen about view groups. So that was a user interface design part, wherein views, when you say, you can have buttons, and you have checkbox, radio buttons, radio group, all those things, text view and all. And when you say view group, we spoke about the layout. We are having different layouts like linear, then relative, then absolute. So different types of layout we had seen. So all those comes under your user interface design. So the next part what we are going to see is about location based services. Okay. So now we know mobile has been everywhere. All are having cell phones nowadays. So in that, one category of application which has been very popular is nothing but this location based services. Okay. So, what is the purpose of this location based service? Or you can also call it as LBS apps. Okay. So, location based services, the main purpose of you're using this service is to track your location. And other than that, you can also have some additional services like locating amenities which are nearby. Now, usually you go to some place, means you might check which are the nearest, either some restaurants or some other things what you want. If you want hospital, which are the nearest hospital. So all those things you can do in your phone, right? So that is because of this location based services. Okay, as well as offering some suggestion for route planning also can be done. So all this comes under your location based services related app. So one of the key ingredient in this LBS app is about maps. Maps which present you a visual representation of your location. So here we are going to see about how you can use Google Maps into our application. So that is what we are going to see. That is how we can make use of Google Apps in our application, and how you can manipulate it programmatically. Other than that, we are also going to see how we can obtain the location, that is your geographical location, using location manager class that is available in your Android SDK. Okay. So I'm online, right, guys? Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. So we will
yes,
see.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So we will see. We are going to see about the first part, that is how you can display maps. Okay, Google Map is one of the many application that is bundled in your Android platform. In addition, that is simply using this Google, that is map application, you can also embed it into your application and make use of it in a more what interactive way or a better way. So, how to use this Google Maps in our Android application, and how what are and programmatically what it can perform. So, these are the things what we are going to see. That is how you can change the views in Google Map, then how you can obtain the latitude as well as longitude location of your map, and how you can perform geocoding as well as reverse geocoding. So here we are going to see about this geocoding. So what is the meaning of this geocoding? So this is a process in which now you might be having the street address. So if you know the street address, you're going to convert or transform the street address into corresponding latitude as well as longitude. Or in other way, you can say transfer the street address into the corresponding coordinate. That is nothing but in terms of latitude and longitude. Whereas reverse geocoding is just the opposite of that. So in geocoding, what we said, When you have the street address, you're converting it to corresponding latitude and longitude. Whereas reverse geocoding, you are having the latitude and longitude, or in other way coordinates, you are going to convert it into the corresponding street name, you can say, or address, you can say. That is the thing. And the next one, what perform next thing what can be done is you can add markers to Google Map. So we will go to each one of them. So the first thing what we are saying is we are going to create an Android project. Okay. So you have to create a Android project. So in order to use Google Map, if you want to use Google Map in your application, then you need to ensure that you check the Google API as build target. So you have to select this. Okay. Google Map, it won't come as part of your Android SDK. So you need to find it in the Google API add-on. So if you want to use this Google Map, it's not going to come along with your SDK, but you need to add it, okay, as a API add-on. So that is what you can see here. You can see in the diagram here, LBS is nothing but the name of the project what you're given. And you can see here the additional jar file, that is maps.jar, which is located under your Google API. So if you want to use this Google Maps into our application, then you need to add this Google API as an add-on. Okay, that's the thing. Next, we'll see how we can obtain the Maps API key. So what you have to do is, beginning with the Android. So since the beginning of your Android SDK release, it's not like maps were integrated previously and now it is not there. Since the beginning, you need to apply for a free Google Map API key before you can integrate maps into an Android application. So it is not like previously it was there and now we have to do nothing like that. Since the beginning only, if you want to use the Google API, you have to um, apply for it. Apply for a free Google Maps API key. Okay. So when you apply for a key, you must also agree. Some terms and conditions are there which you have to agree for that. Only then you can you will be getting this key. Okay. So how we can do that is, so in your Eclipse, we have to go to, so here you can see here the dialog window is given shown to you. So first what you have to do here is, if you're testing your application on the Android emulator or your Android device directly is connected to the development machine, you have to locate the SDK certificate. So how you can get that is, that will be there in the default folder, that is in your C drive and users inside the Android. If you're speaking about Windows 7, then this is a path where your debug certificate can be located. Okay. So we have to verify its existence. So to do that, we have to go to here you can see here, we have to go to, in Eclipse you have to go to Windows, then you have to click on preferences. So you can see here preferences is there, and under that you have Android, then you have to select build. Okay. So that time you can see here the path will be displayed to you. So here it is there on the right hand side, you can see here, that is nothing but the debug certificates location. So you can see here the file name is called as debug dot keystroke. So this is a file name of the certificate. Okay. So this is a certificate that Eclipse will use to sign your application so that it may run on the Android emulator device. So this is about your API key. And the next step is for geocoding and reverse geocoding. So we said geocoding is nothing but if you know the street address, then the process of converting your street address into corresponding coordinates. Okay. So that is called as geocoding. Whereas reverse geocoding is nothing but if you know the latitude and longitude of the location, then you can find out its address using the process called as reverse geocoding. That is the thing here. So Google Maps in Android, it does this task by using what is called as a geocoder class. So we can retrieve the address of a location that you have just selected by using a method called as get from location. Okay, so all this is the coding part. We can check out that once we are coming into the offline classes. So what we are saying, if you want to retrieve the address of the location, then we are using a method called as get from location. So the term what this geo code object, it converts this latitude and longitude into an address using this get from location method. Once the address is obtained, then that address can be displayed using what is called as your toast class. So, what is this toast class? So, toast class is nothing but they are used to provide a simple pop up message that will be displayed in your current screen. Okay, just a pop up message which will be there for some amount of time, and later it will be gone. So, that is about your geocoding. And next, we'll go for getting the location data. So, how we can get the location data? Effective ways to locate your position. So, there are different methods. So, the first one in that we are speaking about GPS receivers. So, the different ways of getting your location. First one is GPS. So, GPS receivers. In this case, what we can say, our mobile devices are having the GPS receivers. So there are many satellites which will be orbiting around the earth. So you can use a GPS receivers to find your location very easily. But in this case, this will be effective only if the sky is clear, or if you are in a very interior place. Then in that case, it will be difficult for us to get the exact location, because the satellites cannot penetrate to all those interior places. Okay, it can happen, such kind of situation might be there. So that is one drawback in case of GPS receivers. So another way is to look another way to locate your position is through cell tower triangulation. So what is the meaning of this cell tower triangulation is, when you on your cell phone, okay, when your phone is switched on, then what happens is it will be constantly in contact with the nearest base station. So your cell phone will be connected to the nearest base station, closest one. So by knowing the identity of the cell tower, it is possible to translate this information into physical location. Okay, so what we are telling, we are connecting our cell phone, or our cell phone will be connected to the closest tower. So by knowing the identity of the tower, then it is possible for us to get the physical location. This can be done through the use of various database which is containing the cell towers identity, as well as the exact the geographical location. So the advantage of going in for cell tower triangulation is, for this you don't require satellites. So that drawback what we said in a GPS receiver, that is, your satellites can it can happen that it won't be possible to penetrate to the most interior locations. In such cases, this is better, but it is not as precise as GPS, the first case, because its accuracy depends on overlapping signal coverages. Because of that, you may not be we cannot say this is precise as compared to your GPS receivers. Then cell tower triangulation works best whenever you are in a place which is densely populated, where cell towers, in such cases, when you say we are in a city or in metropolitan cities and all, what happens, you are having the cell tower which is closely in very short distances, you'll be having the cell towers. But if you are in a very interior place, then the distance between the cell towers will be very large. So that is also one thing. So we can say that this is better, it works in the best way in densely populated areas. And the third method we are saying is Wi-Fi triangulation technique. In this case, what happens, rather than connecting to your cell towers, the device will connect to Wi-Fi network and checks the service provider against a databases to determine the location of the provider. So these are the different ways how you can get the location. Okay, so on Android SDK, it provides location manager to help your devices to device to determine the user's physical location. So here we are using a command, that is location manager dot request location update. So what does it do? So it is going to take these four parameters. What are the four parameters? The first one is the GPS provider, next is a minimum time, then you have some minimum distance, and the location listener. So what does this four parameters do? So first of all, we have the provider. So provider is nothing but the name of the provider with which you have registered. In this case, if you are using GPS to obtain, that is, in this case, what you're using here, you're using GPS, okay, to obtain the geographical location. And minimum time, what is the meaning of minimum time? Is this is nothing but the minimum time interval for the notification to be got in terms of milliseconds, whereas minimum distance is the distance interval for every notification, that is from one place to other when you're going, that distance interval. And the last one is a listener. This is nothing but an object whose on location change method will be called for every location update. So from one location, when you're moving to another location, that time the update should happen, the location should be changed. So for that purpose, we have an on location change method that will be invoked. Okay, so these are the different things that is related to getting the location. Next one will go for preparing for publication. So Google has made it relatively easy to publish your Android application so that it can be easily distributed to the end users. So the steps what are required for publication, your and publication of your Android application are, first of all, you can export your application as an APK, that is your Android package file. And the next thing is generate your own self-signed certificate. That how to sign we already saw in the previous thing, wherein you're using keystroke. In your Eclipse, you can go to Windows, then Preferences. There you have the path. That is a thing. That is generate your own self-signed certificate and digitally sign your application with it. And the next thing is deploy the signed application, and after that you can use the Android market for hosting and selling your application. So here what you'll be doing, we'll see how to prepare your application for signing and see the various ways how you can deploy your application. We will see all those things here. So the first thing what we are seeing is versioning. So what do we mean by version? So we know we have different versions of Android also, right? So what do you mean by version? So beginning with version 1.0 of your Android SDK, the we have a file when we say about spoke about the anatomy of Android application. We had seen some file called as Android manifest.xml. So here you will be having the version as well as the code associated with this. Those information will be there in your Android manifest.xml file. So this is there for every Android application. So in this particular file, you will be having the version code as well as the version name. So you can see here in this particular example, so manifest XLNS, this is nothing but your namespace. And after that, you have the package name. Then here you can see here the version code is 1 and the version name used is 1.0. So this information will be present in Android manifest.xml. Okay. So the version code here, so what does it represent? This represents the version number of your application. So in this case, the version code is 1. So for every version revision what has happened, you can increment the value of this by 1. So that programmatically it is possible for us to differentiate the newest version with the previous one. That is the best way, right? Whenever you're doing some improvement, then you're giving it the next version number. So this value will never be used by the Android system, but it is useful for the developer as a means to get the version number of your application. Next, the version code attribute is used by the Android market to determine if there is a newer version of your application available. So, based on this version code, you will get to know whether any updation, like previously, now it is version code 1, and next again, if you're changing to version code 2, so then people will get to know that there has been some updation that has been happening, okay, or happened. Next one is your version name. So this attribute contains versioning information that is visible to the user. So if you're planning to publish your application on the Android market, that is here we are, Android market is nothing but our Play Store. Then Android manifest.xml should have some attribute such as version code, version name, and also it should have some Android icon, that is which will be within the application element, and also the label, again that will be inside the application element, whereas version code and version name will be present in manifest.xml. Okay, so version label, when you say, is nothing but the attribute which will tell the name of the application. So you might have seen, if you go to settings and you go to application, and wherein you're clicking on manage application section, if you go there, you might see the label, that is nothing but the name of your application. Okay, so all those information are required whenever you are publishing your application in Android Play Store. Other than that, some additional thing what we have is, if your application needs the minimum version of the SDK, you can specify it in, even that can be specified in your Android manifest.xml using the element users hyphen SDK, their minimum version. Just see there, Android colon min SDK version you have given, that is 7. So minimum version also can be specified this way. Okay, that is about versioning. And next thing we'll see about digitally, how you can digitally sign your Android application. So all the Android application must be digitally signed before they are allowed to deploy onto the device. That is, it can be the emulator also. Unlike some mobile platform, here you need not purchase digital certificates from any certificate authority to sign your application. Instead, what we can do, we can generate our own self-signed certificate and use it to sign your Android application. So this can be done. So you don't have to go to some certificate authority. We can do it. That is self-signed certificate, and use it to sign our Android application. So when we use Eclipse to develop an Android application, so we can press the F11 key, wherein you can deploy this into our emulator. So Eclipse automatically signs it for us. So we can verify that by going to Windows Preferences, and there we are going to Android. So already told there, previously we already spoke about all this. A diagram also was given, wherein you can click on Android, then you can go to build. So when you're going to build, you will be getting the location where you have your debug.keystore. So Eclipse is going to, or Eclipse will use debug keystore to sign your application. So a keystroke is commonly called as your digital certificate. Okay, so already we saw that in previous slide we have seen. So in Eclipse, you're going to Windows Preferences, click on Android, and there you're getting the location of debug keystore, debug.keystore. So that is used, that is keystroke is used as a digital certificate. Okay, so if you're publishing your Android application, then you must sign it with your own certificate. So application signed with the debug certificate, it cannot be published. So we need to sign our own certificate. While you can manually generate your own certificate using keytool.exe. So this can be used to generate our own certificate. So this is provided by Java JDK. Okay, so Eclipse has made it easy for us by including the wizard. So you just have to, some steps are there, you can just click on next and generate a certificate. Okay, it's not anything like a tedious task. It is like just the steps are there, wherein you have to just click on to the next step. So it will also sign your application with the generated certificate, that is what we said, JDK, Java JDK is providing. So that will be in jar signer.exe. So this way you can develop or digitally sign your Android application. And the next part is how, so application everything is generated. Now what you want to do? Now finally we want to deploy. Okay, so once you have signed your APK file, the you need a way to get them onto a user's devices. So what are the different ways? That is deploying manually using the Android debug bridge, that is adb.exe tool. And the next technique is hosting the application on the web server. The next method is publishing through the Android method. So these are the different methods how you can deploy your APK file, that is deploying manually, or hosting the application on the web server, or publishing it into Android market, that is nothing but publishing it in Play Store. Besides the above method, we can also install our application on users' devices through email or SDK. That way also can be done. So as long as we transfer the APK file onto the user's device, we can install the application. So next we will see each of the methods. So the first thing is using the adb.exe tool. That is, once your Android application is signed, then you can deploy it to the emulator as well as any other devices using the Android debug bridge, that is called as adb.exe tool. So using the command prompt in Windows, you can navigate to this particular location, that is platform hyphen tools folder. So to install the application into the emulator device, we have to issue the following command. So what is that command? Adb install. This is a path where you have your LBS, okay, dot APK file. That is LBS in this case is nothing but the name of our project. Okay, so the APK file of your project. Besides using adb.exe tool to install application, you can also use to remove the install application. So even the removal also can be done. So for that, what is the command we are going to use? We are using rm, that is remove. Okay, so we are using the shell command rm to remove the application. So that is about using adb, that is Android debug bridge. So other than that, another way how you can deploy an application is by using the Dalvik debug monitor server, that is a tool in Eclipse. So with an emulator which we have selected, you can use the file explorer in that is DDMS, you can say, that is nothing but Dalvik debug monitor server. We can go to the app folder and use the push a file onto the device button. So that time what happens, the APK file will be copied onto the device. Okay, that is one more thing what we can do. And the next one is how you can deploy a APK file is by using a web server. So if you wish to host your application on your own, then you can use a web server to do that. This is best if you have your own web hosting service, and also you want to provide an application free of charge to your user, or you can restrict access to certain groups of people, then you can go for this technique. So in this what you're doing, so the steps are given here. So you have to copy the signed LBS. Your lbs.apk is nothing but your project APK file into inetpub. So in addition, you can create a new HTML file named as install.html. So in that install.html, you will be writing in the body, you can write download the where am I application, some, that is you're giving the reference from where you're getting. That is in the reference part, you have to write the name of your project or your application. And the next step is on your web server, you may need to register your MIME type for the APK file. That also that is the next step. From the application settings menu, you can check the unknown sources item. So in this case, you will be prompted with the warning message. You have to click on OK. Then checking this item will allow the device or your emulator to install applications from other non-market sources. And the next step is you have to install the project.apk application from your web server running on your computer, and launch the browser application on the Android emulator and navigate to the URL pointing to the APK file. So these are nothing but the steps they have given as it is. Okay, you just have to remember this. Then in the next step, you can also use the IP address of the host computer by clicking on the here link. Will download the APK onto your device. Then you can drag the notification bar to reveal the download status. You can check your status also of how much of download is happening. To install the download application, you just have to tap on it and it will show the permission required by this application. And finally, you click the install button to proceed with the application. When the application is installed, you can launch it by creating the open. So just the normal steps are given. So just you have to remember this. So besides using this, using web server, you can also use email. You can also email your application to the users as an attachment. When the user receive the mail, they can download the attachment and install the application directly onto their device. Even this can be done. Instead of using the web server, you can send it as an email attachment. Okay. And the last thing is publishing. Now you're going to that is the last method, that is publishing on Android market. That is nothing but into the Play Store. So it's always better to host your application on Play Store. The steps for doing those is, first one is creating a developer profile. So if you want to publish your application into the Play Store, first of all you have to create a profile, that is developer profile. So for that you have to go to market.android.com, and there you can go to publish and you can go to home. So there you have to use your Google account. Then you also need to pay a one time registration fee, and you have to click on agree. That is, some agreement will be there where you have to agree for all those agreements. That is how you're going to create your developer profile. So once you have created your profile, the next step is submitting your app. So that is, if you intend to charge your application, that in that case, click the setup merchant. So you have there an option, that is merchant account link, that will be there at the bottom of the screen. So where you will enter additional information such as bank account and tax ID. So if you're making your application as if the user want to use your application, they need to pay something. If it is like that, then you have to do some additional thing. What is that additional thing? You need to mention your bank account as well as tax ID. Okay. So other than that, you will also be asked to supply some details of your application. So some of the compulsory things what you have to give there is, you have to give the application in the APK form. Then at least two screenshots you need to submit. Then you can also use the DDMS, that is your Dalvik debug monitor server perspective in Eclipse, to capture screenshots of your application which is running in the emulator. You can use that to send the screenshot. Then also a high resolution your application's icon, even that also you need to submit. So the size is usually 512 into 512 by 512 pixels. And you have to also mention the title of your application, along with that some description and some recent updates. If you have done even that details you can mention. And you have to indicate whether application employs any copy protection, and specify a content writing. So if you have done all this, with all this setup, click publish and publish your application on the Android market. So if you have done all this, then your application will be uploaded, or it will be present or published in your Play Store. So anybody who is going to use the Play Store, they can check out your application, and if they want, they can download it. So this is all about LBS and how you can publish your application in the Android market. So this is all about your third module, wherein you're learning about the views, that is you're learning about the user interface design, and also about your location based services, and how you can what publish your Android application into the market. Okay, so with this we are done with the third module. So the next module we will see it in the next class. I hope you're clear with this module, guys. Hello.